So if you watched our last video of the turkey crop surgery, I really need you to watch this one because we did that 2 days ago, and about 16 hours after his surgery, Bronzy got really lethargic and um, really hot and feverish and kind of hallucinating because his head was twitching and he couldn't stand up, and we brought him inside and tried to get antibiotics into him, tried to get some apple cider vinegar water into him, put ice packs under his wings, and he wasn't doing great at all. So we took him outside to the grass and sat with him, and he eventually, after a few minutes, left this world in my arms. And it's been really hard, and I know he's a turkey and I know he's farm animal, livestock, but he was really special to us, and we've had him since he was a tiny baby. We brought him home when he was just a couple of days old. Literally, he costed like $7, and he just wanted to always be with us and around people and showing off, and everybody that came over he made quick friends with, and he just had to show everybody how handsome he was and what a beautiful young man he had grown into. And we were just, so grateful for the time that we had with him. He was really special to us. Bronzy was one of the first turkeys we had. We had three. One passed from congestive heart failure. The other one is actually at a new farm with a new man, and she's very happy, and the owner's happy, and the tom turkey, of course, is ecstatic. So we're really happy that she was able to go to another farm and have a new life there. So, Bronzy was kind of a mascot. He was supposed to be a freezer bird, and we ended up absolutely falling head over heels for him, and he was so sweet for a tom. He was just great temperament. He just loved being with us. He was, of course, a chow hound, and we really had to keep an eye on him. But, towards the end there, it kind of happened so fast. So what had happened was we did his surgery, and then he got really sick, and basically he got sepsis, and I think the shock from the surgery as well. And then he just got really feverish and sick and septic and passed pretty quickly. And while we're still devastated about it, and I'm trying really hard not to beat myself up about it, I do want to replay some moments from the last video and point out things that might not be super obvious, times when I doubted myself, moments when my instincts kicked in for a second, but I was just so focused on getting that garbage, that junk, that sour feed out of him that I didn't look into it more. I kind of just, was like, oh, it just must be like this because of this. And, I really want to point out where I, again, trying not to beat up on myself, but where I failed. And if it helps somebody else, avoid these mistakes, and maybe it saves a little bird life on the farm, then I guess it's worth it. I only say I guess because I'm still bitter and I'm still really sour that, this really sweet and amazing bird had to pass. And there's a lesson to be learned, of course. I think there's a lesson in everything, even awful things, and I can see where the lesson is. I'm just having a really hard time embracing and accepting it because he was really special to us, and we are really having a hard time with him gone. And yeah, so that's the price we pay for treating them like beloved pets. We love them so much, and we want to give them a really great experience while they're here, and we just fall completely in love with these animals. And when these losses happen, it hits so much harder. So we're okay, we're healing. Bronzy is survived by 10 of his children that we were able to produce about a couple months ago. And so needless to say, I think we're going to keep like half of them because they all have his very friendly and very sweet personality. And we're going to pick and choose, maybe keep 2 toms as long as they get along with each other, and keep a couple hens and keep his legacy going that way, and pay respect and honor him and his name and how much he, how big of a spot he took up in our hearts. And so I'm going to play bits of the video from the surgery, and I'm going to point out places where things that should have been either looked into or things that should have been avoided. And I hope that maybe it helps somebody in the future. So at this point in the video, we're about 3.5 minutes in. I've made it through the skin, I've made it through the muscle. At this point, I'm trying to blunt dissect with my fingers down to be a little bit more gentle and not use the knife as much because I know I'm getting close. And then what I'm seeing here is a very, very thin wall of tissue, very, very thin, and I can actually see the crop contents through it. The crop is a thicker, white, spongy almost material. So I was just thinking, I was very single-minded. I was like, I gotta get this stuff out, I gotta get this stuff out. But in my head, this red flag popped up that I don't think I'm supposed to be able to see it that easily. I don't think crop walls are so super thin, given how much turkeys can eat and how much their crop is supposed to hold and, you know, release it back, release up into the stomach when they're asleep at night. So this is my first red flag, my first instinct moment where I went, I don't think crop walls are supposed to be so paper thin. So here I've actually incised the tissue and I'm now pulling the crop material out because I was just trying to get it out and trying to give him some relief.
Oh, it's just like all hay.
We're about 15 minutes in. At this point, we've gotten everything out. I'm about to start rinsing. But the thing that started bothering me right here, looking at this inner wall, quote unquote, of the crop, is that the tissue is sticking to this food material. There was no way I was going to be able to get it clean. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, shouldn't the inside of an organ that's specifically made to hold and move food be more mucosal? And so we're about to start closure. And I remember this nagging feeling in the back of my head that was telling me, shouldn't the crop be much more obvious as far as needing to be closed? Isn't it its own entity? Isn't it its own organ that is going to have its own opening since we already took stuff out of the crop? Isn't that something that we should be looking for? And I think what had happened was I had just got this thought in my head that, oh, his crop is so distended and stretched out that it has literally stretched the tissue into this thin, almost membrane, you know, type of situation. And so as I'm closing the muscle, but I'm also making sure that I have some of that membrane that's on the inside, because I was under the assumption that his super stretched out crop, that was its outer wall, was on the inner wall of the muscle. So I just did my best trying to close that up, because I had it in my head that if I close that up, it is closing the crop up, and then it's going to be a contained environment. The next video is a little graphic. I did open up his surgery site because I needed to see exactly what had happened to get him to this place. So it is a little gross, a little graphic, but I'm being as respectful as possible. I opened up his suture and I did pour some water into this area where it was all inflamed and swollen. I cleaned out all the food that was in there. I'm still cleaning out more food. As you can see, I'm looking and I'm seeing that there is the skin, which I had closed last, the muscle layer, which I had closed, which is right next to the skin, and then there's a massive hole, which upon feeling around in said hole, I did find the two channels, one that goes up into the esophagus, the other that goes down into the stomach channel. So that hole is actually a rupture that happened. That's his crop that we're looking into at this moment. Here you can see the skin layer that I had incised through initially, very thin, the feathers coming out of it, the muscle layer, which is now a grayish color because he is passed, but it was very obviously muscle that I had gone through. This is the actual crop rupture hole. As you can see, the edges are pretty healed, which means this might have happened some time ago, and his body just did the best that it could by trying to wall off the infection and keep it contained. Bronzy was one of those special birds. We completely bought him for $7 at Tractor Supply with complete intent on raising him for the freezer for Thanksgiving, and then slowly he just won us over. A couple of suckers for, you know, a good personality, and so he was with us for about 1.5 years, which is pretty good in the broad-breasted turkey community. We did lose another one, like I said, to congestive heart failure, and now we've lost him to this, you know, pendulous impacted crop, which is pretty common. A lot of them just put on so much weight so fast that their legs break underneath them, and then you have to put them out of their misery, and it's big meat companies, wanting as much meat as fast as possible, get those butterballs out for Thanksgiving. And unfortunately, with taking in an animal like this and raising him and loving him just so much, we kind of set ourselves up for heartbreak, because we knew that we were just kind of, after a couple of months, we were just on borrowed time, since they're not bred to get past a couple of months. So we are very grateful for the time we had. And even if he was for the freezer, with any animal that we have that's destined for the freezer, we feel that, especially since their life is going to be a lot shorter than the rest of our animals, which are breeding stock, of course, or egg producers, just because their life is going to be a lot shorter doesn't mean they shouldn't get a little extra love and attention, make it the best time while they're here. So, well, Bronzy's gone. His memory lives on, and we have his 10 children, who are super sweet. They're about 2.5 months old now. They're mixed with their mother, who is a heritage breed, so they might get big, they might stay medium size. We're not looking for the most meat as fast and quick as possible. These guys have great personalities. They're wonderful. They're inquisitive. They're, I want to say considerate, but that sounds like a silly quality to give to a turkey. But they are very intuitive and nosy, of course. And just like their father, they have to be included in everything. So we're very grateful that we have these guys, and we get to carry on Bronze's name with them. And we'll probably end up naming a barn or something after Bronze in memorial. So we're very fortunate, and we do appreciate and are grateful for the time that we had with him, even though it was pretty short.